Community development is something that echoes the creative process as a whole. It takes people and energy and ideas, and it brings them together, and it makes them durable. And good community development takes a canvas, whether a building or a street or a neighborhood, and it completely changes the way we interact with and relate to that space, and sometimes to an entire region.
Derelict space can be the ultimate example of the unknown potential, full of stories, history, and character, but no use, because there's nothing, you can imagine anything. When realized, that potential can go on to transform a community, physically, economically, and socially, in ways yet unimaginable. Some of the most inspiring reinvented spaces start with just a couple people. These catalysts are usually young. They aren't experienced professionals, they're generalists. Creative people that know enough to connect the dots, to bring together teams, to present ideas in new and creative ways, and to rally their community. Our story starts with a derelict coal plant. The Moran plant, as it's known, is a landmark brick structure sitting at the heart of a formerly industrial waterfront in Burlington, Vermont, a kick-ass little town in northeastern United States.
Over the last 2 decades, like many former industrial cities, Burlington has worked to reclaim its waterfront as a significant cultural and recreational resource. But Moran has been a constant source of frustration. Despite numerous attempts by the city and private developers, the building has eluded both redevelopment and demolition. 2 years ago, at the age of 21, we decided to propose a plan for the adaptive reuse of Moran and its surrounding campus. It started, as you can imagine, with a drink with friends, looking down at the building, and this simple question of what would it take to make this happen? A combination of naivety and curiosity, and a challenge that was so unlikely, we had nothing to lose in trying. But it became the thrill of an impossible deal, the chance to have an impact on the community where we grew up and that we love. And it became the great white buffalo of Burlington, the one that got away.
Our first time inside the building, we were hooked, taken aback by the space within. Like many particularly grand abandoned spaces, Moran has a beauty of its own. The crushed concrete, the graffitied walls, the peeling paint, the seemingly improbable outcroppings of plant life that define a space, a color, and a character that exists like nothing else in Burlington or anything we'd seen. Inspired by that space, we started with our friends and family, asking, what does this community need? What would the city use? And who else should we talk to? Those initial inquiries turned into hundreds of conversations with local businesses, community leaders, organizations, and individuals who all had the experience that Tad and I lacked.
6 months after we began that quest, the mayor of Burlington opened the future of our waterfront to proposals by the community at large. Built on all of our conversations, we responded with a proposal that re-envisions Moran as an energy self-sufficient civic space, an emergent mixed-use building where 1 + 1 + 1 equals more than 3. Owned by the city but operated by a nonprofit, this building is an intersection of the common threads which in large part define our city: community, energy, arts, food, recreation, a collaborative hub of some of our best small businesses and nonprofit organizations operating in a living building that not only generates more energy than it consumes, but preserves the character and the heritage of the space that inspired us to act.
The hard part of our work is really only just beginning, but we're continually encouraged by the reality that this process is not unique to our project. Take the small rural town of North Adams, Massachusetts, where amongst rampant economic decline, 2 friends were inspired by the beauty and scale of a derelict textile mill. And that unexpected venue, they created the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art, MassMoCA, the largest visual and performing contemporary arts destination in North America. In the years since, the unknown potential has been the steady and impressive ripple into the community, cultural identity, new businesses, higher real estate values, new people moving to town, and even a remarkable improvement in the local school system.
We can also look to the High Line in New York City, where 2 young men were inspired to save the elevated rail line running through their Lower West Side community. I believe this ribbon of steel, forgotten, covered in green, filled with weeds and wildflowers, could be a new kind of public park. And they were able to bring the whole city of New York to reimagine what that space could be. Starting as just two people with a shared passion, strangers, the High Line has become an international icon of the potential for abandoned urban space.
Our work for the foreseeable future is in one building, in our small community, but it's not unlike abandoned or forgotten spaces in many communities all across the world. 20 years ago, you could have hardly imagined mass mocha in a derelict textile mill or the High Line on a forgotten railway. Yet we often don't think about the spaces that are closest to us.
And that's a loss.
And that's a loss. City governments all over the world often hold out for some well-equipped outside actor as a solution to abandoned space, the so-called eyesores of our community. But what are the chances? This is our challenge to you. It's far more unlikely to find the unknown savior than it is for you to become them. It's your community, the place that you love, and you're as well equipped to understand the space around you as anyone else. Probably more so.
2 years ago, we decided to reclaim this Moran building long before understanding how difficult it might be. But we engaged opinion makers with no formal experience and leaders in city government, and we met members of the community who shared our passion for the building. One of whom, Charlie, has become our partner. And together, we built this team and we refined a vision. And this March, by an overwhelming majority, the voters of Burlington approved a vision for Moran with $6.3 million. And that vision is not just our vision, but a vision of Charlie's and a vision of this entire collective community that is making this project a reality. And there's a liberation in realizing that when you try something that feels impossible, you aren't limited to incremental change. You define the potential of these abandoned spaces in your community, and you can define their impact.
The unknown potential, that magic of abandoned space, is much the unlikely people that rally to reclaim it, as it is the impact of the spaces we reinvent. So be the unknown potential. Notice the space around you. Be audaciously curious. Define your own impact. Think big, then figure it out, and have a hell of a good time while doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.